Hey everybody, Todd McFarlane here. What are we going to draw today? We're going to see if we can do not Batman, but Batgirl. So let's see if we can do a female version of her fairly quickly. I won't do a profile of her like I do a lot of the other drawings. Let's see if we can't do something that's a little more aggressive than that. So we'll start with her egg. I could use black ink. We can start with her face here. Cut it up in here. She's going to have her let's see, big eyes. So let's just cut in some eyes real quick. Give her the big eyelashes to start with. We'll worry about everything else around the eyes. Maybe a little bit too much eyebrow, but I'll get to there later. Give her a nice little button nose. We'll go up in here, and we'll let her have nice smile on us, so we'll give her a smile. Seems like she's having a good time. Give her a highlight in her lips, so it looks like she has a little bit of glossy lipstick up in here. I'll maybe come back in and cut a little bit of white in a minute, but let's just get sort of some of it done, and then even give her a little bit of a dimple that's in here. We know they have the big cuts for the eyes, so that you can see out of her costume, and the ladies have the high cheekbones that come in here like we said before, and then some nice tight cheeks up in here. We'll round those off just a little bit, and now it starts to get a little bit easier here because now we're going to round it off. Got her head. Her head's over here. Here's the rest of her head, maybe making a little bit of an indication for an ear, and then we just start doing the cool stuff that makes her Batgirl. Up in here, she's going to have some on here. Cut another one up in here. Again, you can make the ears as long, as pointy as you want. Give her a nice slender, nice little sort of sexy long neck here. And she'll even be giving us maybe not too much muscle in the neck, because again, males have more muscles bulging than the dudes. And then we'll just make her almost look like she's turning at us from the side, giving us a sideways glance, right? Like that pretty girl you guys see on the bus that you wish would talk to you a little bit more. Let's see, a little bit of a shoulder, a little bit of bosoms up in here, and then we'll do a little bit of the cape. Get it big and fat right up in here, and we'll come in here. Yeah. I think she has a sweep up in here, so you can put this line that basically comes in here. She has some kind of sweep in here. I can cut it up in here just a little bit, but it's not bad. And then now we come back in, and let me just blow this up a little bit. And now we'll give her the big, sort of nice eyes that we've talked about in the past. I'll just get them in here, make sure I get a nice little sheen in it. Cut this in here so she doesn't have quite as much eyelash in here, right? So we'll get her just a little more reasonable. And again, I can come back in a little bit later and clean up all these pieces here. And then obviously she has, besides a nice little button nose, she also has her mask, and so the mask has to come up on the bridge. I think it comes down something like this, comes back up, and then comes back down on the face. So we'll go back down and go here, something like that. I don't have the reference in front of me, so, but close enough with it. And now once we get in here, then I can come back in and get my pen, make it a little bit bigger, give it a little bit of highlights, a little bit on the nose, and then now I can start dropping in basically the black, so that she has a little bit more of a quote-unquote Batman look, you know, so she's a little bit darker and moodier with it. So we'll go up in here, and we'll even give her some down on the side real quickly. Boom, boom, boom. maybe like I said, I might want to give a bit of a highlight here for where the ear's at. Maybe cut a little bit of shadows up in here. Right. Again, you can put your little tweaks and your little highlights wherever you want to go. Right. All of this goes in here. Maybe put some more shadows up in here in the cheek where we had it. Not, you know, again, this is on the leather of her costume. This isn't actually in her face. So make sure when you're paying attention, you're not doing it on the flesh parts. You're only doing it on the non-flesh parts, which is basically the leather of her costume or whatever you think it's made out of. And then, like I said, I can come back in very quickly, change to white, and cut in some big chunks of white here. If I go up in here, I can cut in that ear a little bit, make that wrinkle in her shoulder so it looks like she's wearing a cape up in here and in here. And then I can come back in and I can cut some whites in there. Now the only thing we're missing is the young lady does have hair, and there's a tendency for her to have it just sort of tucked back behind her head. I don't really know where it comes out. There must be some kind of slit that comes out of the back of her hair. But you can just draw these long lines. You can make her hair as long and sort of stylish as you want and as short as you want. And then once you've got it pinned in there, then you can just start doing some squiggle lines, but try and control them enough so that, again, it doesn't look like it's a mess, right? And then you can bulk some of it up so it feels like there's a little bit of shadow that's in here. And if we sort of pull it back a little bit now, we should have something that is fairly reasonable, that looks okay. And that's before we actually even drop a little color. So if you guys bear with me for a moment, let me drop a little color in here, and we'll make this quick little drawing sing even more. So she has something that's probably in the range of, let's say, right here. I'll add another layer, and then we'll, oh, hang on. I've got to go back. Image mode. I've got to make it RGB, which means we'll have color. We'll take color, and now it will take color. So I'll jam all my color in here. And it's going to look ugly for a moment because I can hit a button and it'll go underneath. Right now all this color is on top. I just want to make sure I'm hitting the places where her costume are. Boom. Yep. I can get it right here. And then I'll go real fast here. I can get all of this in one stroke. Hit a button. Bammo. And now I go up here, instead of making it normal, I hit multiply, and as you can see very quickly, it goes underneath. And I come back in now, hit some of the yellow. She has a little bit of yellow in her costume. So this is where this is going to come in, and cut this. Bam. Get a little bit of color cut in there. Maybe if I want to get a little more sophisticated up in here. She has some kind of reddish hair, so we'll go into the orange. Make it just a little bit, not too bright. I can come in here, cut up in here, bam, she's got her red hair, back up in here, red hair, bammo. You can always come in and clean this up. You know, sometimes what I'll do too, if I'm doing colors, that I'll actually stay with the color just a little bit and just let it sort of jump outside the black and white lines, so you get a little bit of a bounce to it in some of the places. And now we need to come in. We need to come in with, you know, a little bit of flesh that's in here. So we'll make sure that we get a little bit of flesh in her. And then I'll put a little bit of shadow. I'll put a little bit of shadow up in here. I don't really know what color her eyes are, so but let's just assume that they're kind of a pretty blue. So let's give her blue eyes. You can see here the eyes get a little bit blue. Again, I'm doing this at a small scale, and a small scale means that the lines aren't going to be quite as pretty. I go back here, give it a little red lips, just a little bit of red lips here. Not too much, don't want to overdo it. Cool. And now I can do one more layer, and this is where I like to do this other sort of silly trick where I might just sort of do a little bit of shadow on the face. Give it a little bit of mood, like she's out at 2 o'clock in the morning. Alright, put some even on their head. Maybe a little bit here underneath. For sure some in the hair. I even cut some up in here. Cut some up in here. I even make it dark here so it looks like the back of her head's casting a shadow. And then I just make that go from 100% and I pull it back, keep pulling it back till it looks like it's kind of sort of a fun shadow on her. And then I can clean it up. And I can come in there and make sure that the shadow is a little smoother. And it has it's a little sort of more interesting than what I've got right now. And it doesn't look quite as sloppy. Clean it up. Give her a little bit of mystery. Put a little highlight in there, a couple more highlights, and before you know it, you have something that looks not too bad. I'll cut one more color in, which would just be a slight highlight, like there's a reflection of something coming on. All right, so we'll just give just a little bit of a highlight here and here, and then some in the cape right in here, just to bounce it just a little bit. So anyways, there you go. We got a quick little drawing. Hope you like it. We'll come up with another character next time. Thanks for joining me. Be good.